Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Sarah Jones with Politicus Radio, joining me to talk about Hillary Clinton delivering a spectacular Super Tuesday while Donald Trump threw a temper tantrum after losing Ohio. Is Politicus USA's editor-in-chief, Jason Easley. Glad you could join us.
Thanks for having me.
So, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton won Florida, Ohio, and North Carolina, racking up some serious delegates. She has the possibility of winning Illinois, but it's too close to call, and Missouri is too close to call with Senator Bernie Sanders leading. At this point, the actual winner of Missouri and Illinois doesn't matter as much because the delegates will probably be generally split down the middle. On the Republican side, they've gone from deep bench to extremists Donald Trump and Ted Cruz leading. Trump lost the winner-take-all state of Ohio tonight to John Kasich, giving the Ohio governor 66 delegates, which was a win for the country, even if John Kasich's policies are similar to George W. Bush's. Compared to the Trump campaign, he's a moderate. Rubio quit his campaign after losing his home state of Florida in what looked like the death of the Republican establishment, at the very least the fail of the 2012 Republican autopsy reboot project that Republicans completely ignored. He does leave 159 delegates unbound. And Ted Cruz gave an incoherent and rude speech in which he attacked the cancer-recovering Jimmy Carter and President Obama as, quote, weak, unquote. But not to worry, even though he looks unlikely to win the general, he said he has the support of Mark Levin. Cruz also sounded a bit like he would make Carly Fiorina his running mate, which I'm sure would make Democrats happy. Republicans really can't seem to see past their Fox News propaganda mirror. It has been a crazy night. Give us the rundown, Jason.
Well, to put it simply, Hillary Clinton did as expected. Donald Trump had a decent night except for Ohio. And everybody else is various shades of fail, with Marco Rubio being the biggest failure of all.
What about Donald Trump gave a speech tonight, another one of his, well, it wasn't a speech, it was supposed to be a press conference, but it was a press conference in which he took no questions from the press and attacked the press, saying there's some really, I can't remember the word he used now, but basically some horrible people in the press, sort of almost sicking his deranged supporters on the press. I was glad I wasn't there. I certainly wouldn't want to be there for that. And then one of his supporters tweeted the strangest thing out. As Rubio departs the stage, this is a tweet that the Trump supporter tweeted over. As Rubio departs the stage, attendees here embrace each other, many in tears. 72-year-old woman says in Spanish that she is afraid. And the Trump supporter wrote over that, good, she should be. So that's what I mean when I say that it was good for the country that Donald Trump lost Ohio to John Kasich, even if many Democrats fear John Kasich and think because he's because he's sane and he puts on a good show of being a moderate when in fact he isn't, that it's dangerous for him to have won. But, they also show that many Democrats crossed over and voted for John Kasich, and I don't know if that was part of a Stop Trump effort or what it was. So what are your thoughts?
It could also be due to Kasich's popularity in his home state. Kasich he's fairly popular to somewhat moderately popular with Democrats in Ohio. So, that could just be a home state effect. It wouldn't be too surprising if some Democrats came over to support Kasich as a way to support Trump, or a way to stop Trump, but we really don't have any data right now that would suggest motive one way or another.
Right.
As far as Trump's press conference goes, that wasn't really a press conference. Trump actually started the whole thing, and it seemed like the point of the whole thing was for him to explain how he's not really a loser because one poll from The Economist has him at 53%, and with 4 candidates in the race, that's a great accomplishment of physics. And yes, Trump really did say that the people who don't understand the polling don't understand physics. Then he said mathematics or whatever you want to call
it. Yeah.
He showed that he's mentally unstable.
Yeah, you could tell tonight that his ego took a blow because he was lacking that sort of manic craziness that he gets, where everything gets so big, and the more he talks, the more expansive he gets, and the more expansive he gets, the more excited he gets by how big he is, and then he just keeps talking and talking and saying the most ridiculous things, and he leaves any sort of touching the ground. He just leaves it. He leaves reality altogether. Something else that happened tonight, once again, we had male pundits mansplaining to Hillary Clinton that she should not be shouting. She should try for a more conversational tone. She should smile more. So apparently we can all look forward to, if Hillary Clinton wins the nomination and wins the White House, we will have 4 or 5 years of this for sure.
Hopefully 8 years.
Hopefully 8. So it'll be fun for women.
Well, I was going to say, if you don't mind my interrupting you, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just did. While you were talking about interrupting, I just thought about that. I'm sorry
talking about mansplaining. Please do interrupt me.
I just wanted to, what I wanted to suggest, as I rudely interrupted you, which I apologize for, was that the old boys club in D.C. is apparently very threatened.
Yeah.
By having a powerful, potentially successful president.
Well, they don't realize that what they're hearing and the way they want to correct her constantly, what they're hearing isn't a problem with her, it's a problem with them. And that's what they're not getting. And they won't get that because this is the same press that thought Obamacare was going to be a failure because there was a glitch in the website. I mean, these people are not in touch with your everyday person. They have their own ideas. They're in their little bubble. Women are not big in politics. They're not big in punditry. They get driven out of politics by the exact kind of baloney that's being directed at Hillary Clinton tonight. But Hillary Clinton, she's been putting up with this stuff for decades. She's a tough woman, and she isn't going to be intimidated by any of this. This is nothing to her. It's only irritating to me as a woman to see this going on again, and it's a way of studies show that when you say these things about female politicians, it reduces their standing in the eyes of voters. So it's just another way of making this all about her gender.
Yeah, and I think you're the expert, and you're completely correct that this is going to be, as we saw racial politics with President Obama, it's not going to be a surprise if we see an era of ugly gender politics. Oh yeah,
the men's rights club people are going to be out in full force. That this is going to be an attack on their freedom, the idea that there could be a woman president who might actually want to pass some laws that help women. That would be an attack on these people's freedom. So we're not going to hear the end of it. I'm telling you, it's going to be ugly.
Speaking of ugly, I mean, there were a lot of candidates out there tonight that did not have the nights they were hoping for or expecting.
No.
And besides Marco Rubio, who apparently it felt like wrote that speech about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, you could just see him dragging his feet, wanting to quit, but hanging in there till Florida. But what a loss to lose his home state. That was really a kick.
Yeah, and I don't know how a person comes back to be a viable candidate for anything after losing this badly in a presidential election. He's severely damaged. But, one person whose stature isn't severely damaged, but who really took a body blow tonight was Bernie Sanders.
Well, he's such a man of integrity, and he conducts himself so well. And it is really sad to see him losing states that he thought might be viable. I have the utmost respect for him, and I care so passionately about the issues that he's pushing. And it's sad to see, but this is politics. This is part of the game.
Yeah, his campaign really invested a lot into Illinois and Ohio especially, and they might get Missouri, but it looks like, and I mean they could get Illinois depending on how the votes come in there. But right now Hillary Clinton's up by quite a bit, and the percentages keep growing, and he hasn't caught her yet. The thing is, when you see what happened in Ohio, where his message clearly didn't carry over from Michigan, Michigan's looking more and more like maybe it was a blip or a fluke, his win, than actual momentum. Hillary Clinton, did not take nothing away from her campaign, just did a spectacular job, especially in Ohio. They had that state so well organized. They campaigned pretty much relentlessly with Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton or Chelsea Clinton.
Yeah, Bill's been there like almost every day.
Yeah, Bill's been like living there. And I think that's something that Republicans really don't have an answer for in the general election, is the fact that, okay, who are Donald Trump's surrogates going to be? Who's going to match the star power of the Democratic Party if it's Hillary Clinton as the nominee, and Bill Clinton and Chelsea Clinton, and President Obama and First Lady Obama and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders?
Well, that's the whole thing when people think about when Democrats are scared of John Kasich. I mean, even his speech tonight, the guy barely looks like he could be a vice president. He doesn't have any polish to him. He doesn't have that thing that you have to have. He doesn't look like he can campaign in a general election. Number one, to me, he doesn't look like he's ready for that. He doesn't look like somebody who is going to inspire people. So it's one thing for him to win his home state, and it's great. It's good for our country, because just like Nancy Pelosi had to rescue John Boehner from the extremists in his own party in the House, so the people had to rescue the Republican Party from Donald Trump in Ohio tonight, which they did. Well done, people. Let's all give them a round of applause. Not to say that we're completely saved from him. He does have a path, definitely, but it's much harder now for him to get the delegates he needs to, to win without a brokered convention. And I don't think anyone's going to be handing him the win.
Well, all I have to say about John Kasich is it wasn't that long ago that Kasich was saying that women came out of their kitchens.
Yeah, he just said that recently.
To support him and campaign for him.
He's a misogynist, and he's gone after Planned Parenthood. He has gone after unions. This is not someone who wants to campaign against Hillary Clinton. And tonight he even said, he made some throwback, like tried to fearmonger about socialism. And, polls show that younger people aren't afraid of socialism. These Republicans are just stuck back in this era, back when their stuff was working. But it's a long time since it's been working.
Yeah, I mean, Kasich is an old hand. He might be a new face to some people that haven't been following national politics or congressional politics, but Kasich was in the House for a long time. So Kasich isn't exactly the new school thinker that's going to cause Democrats to shake in their shoes. If he would, if lightning would strike the Republican convention in Chicago and John Kasich was the only survivor, that's the way he's going to become the Republican nominee. Like, he's not going to be the Republican nominee. He's not going to be on the ticket here. And he said when asked about teaming up with Trump, absolutely not. Forget it. No. He doesn't like Donald Trump. And they're pretty much opposites in a lot of ways. And it wouldn't be a good ticket. It wouldn't be a good
Oh, my God.
fit.
The blusterer and the borer.
Yeah,
It's
it would just
not good.
It just wouldn't work. So I don't think really Democrats
really
would
just a
there.
better way of phrasing it. The bluster and the bore. That would be their bumper sticker.
Yeah, I hate to get way off topic, but speaking of Marco Rubio, as we did a few moments ago, I keep thinking there was that Politico story about the conservatives meeting and trying to find a third-party candidate, and Marco's going to be unemployed since he left the Senate and his presidential campaign's now over. I have to wonder, because he spent so much time in that speech defining his version of conservatism and real conservatism, if he's not going to be approached by these people that if Trump becomes a nominee, they want a third-party candidate.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it certainly seems like a very strong, a good possibility that that's what's happening. But it's weird because, yes, he came in with the Tea Party wave, but he was the establishment's second pick after Jeb Bush. And it's weird to think that he's going to be the conservative. I mean, what is Donald Trump then? Doesn't Donald Trump have a lot of the conservative base wrapped up? So who's left? I'm sure there are conservatives who aren't the crazy extremists, the bigots, and the racists. So, but of those people, I'm not sure they would go for Marco Rubio. Maybe they would, but it doesn't seem like a big section to peel off, really, of people.
Yeah, the distinction I've seen when I looked at some conservative websites and literature is they consider Trump like